Good morning, Chapelwood Champs. I wanted to just do a quick lesson on one of those things that can really help you as a reader, especially with vocabulary. It's not practical for you to sit and look up every single word that you don't understand. So one of the biggest things that we use, especially as we get older, are context clues. Remember, I've always said the most important thing in reading is being able to understand what you're reading, understand what the message is. Calling the word or saying the word, it's good. We need to be able to know that so we can hear it accurately, but also understanding what it means. What's the meaning? So I can use nonsense words in place of real words, and you can still understand my sentence because your brain is going to try and fill in that word with something that makes sense. So we're always making sense. What makes sense? All right, so context clues, that's that skill, making sense of it. There are 5 different types of context clues. One of them is the straight definition. The meaning of the unfamiliar word is given right there in the sentence. So here are some signal words you're going to see: is, are, or, means, refers to. Okay, those you might see. And here's an example of a definition. Caverns are very large caves. Okay, so if you don't know what caverns are, what are they? Very large caves. Probably the easiest one, most basic. The next one is a synonym. Okay, remember, synonym means like similar, means alike. A familiar word is given for the unfamiliar word. So here are some signal words: also, as, like, same, to. And what it means by signal words are you're probably going to see this in the sentence or around the sentence or one word. Example: she is cautious, there's our unfamiliar word, crossing the street, and also careful riding her bike. All right, so cautious means what? Right there. It means careful. She is blank crossing the street and also careful riding her bike. We could put that word careful right in there where it says cautious. She is careful crossing the street and also careful riding her bike. Now, as you guys in the older grades know, that we don't like to keep using the same word over and over and over again. That's why synonyms become such a great thing, because it doesn't sound so repetitive. The next one is the antonym, which is opposite. Synonym is the similar. I try to think of as similar. Then antonym just is mean the opposite. A word meaning the opposite of the unfamiliar word is given. So here are those signal words that you're going to see: but, unlike, though, however, instead of. And here's an example. The water was shallow, that's our unfamiliar word, but it was deep enough to catch a fish. All right, so but it was deep enough. So an antonym, it was deep enough. What word do you know here? Deep. So what is the opposite of deep? Not deep, right? And so we know that word actually is shallow. I know this is probably relatively easy for you, but it shows you how you're going to recognize the meanings of those unfamiliar words. These are ways that the author will often do that, especially with those different vocabulary words when you're reading science, social studies, and things like that. The next one is an example, and this is where samples or ideas of the unfamiliar word are given. So here are some of those signal words that you're going to look for. For example, like, such as, and including. So here is an example. This word, and I'm not even going to tell you what that word is yet. So we're just going to say blank. So t-shirts, keychains, and poster cards are fun ways to remember trips. Okay, you may have already figured this word out, even if you couldn't really say it or pronounce it. But this word is souvenirs. Okay, and what are souvenirs? T-shirts, keychains, and postcards are fun ways to remember trips. So if I was a student or teacher or anyone reading, and I saw this word and I didn't know it, they're making a word, I don't have any picture in my brain of what that word is because I don't know what that word is. And if I tried to stretch it out, it doesn't really follow all of the rules. So I may have said it wrong, so it doesn't sound familiar to me. So I'm going to go ahead and skip past that word, and I'm just going to say blank, such as t-shirts, keychains, and postcards are fun ways to remember trips. Oh, I've been on a trip before, and when I go on a trip, I get, t-shirts and keychains, postcards, all that stuff. Oh, yeah, I know. Those are those things you bring back from trips. We call them souvenirs. There's the word souvenirs. And a lot of times that's how you will remember that word. Even if you can't come up with the word, if you have an idea of what that word means, that's the most important part. General clues are given about the unfamiliar word. There won't be any signal words. So here's an example. I appreciate the way you encouraged me. I won first prize. So here's what you're going to have to do with a general one. You're going to have to think about what makes sense. Make sense of it. So I appreciate the way you blank me. I won first prize. So somebody's appreciating something that somebody did for them, right? And they did it. They won first prize. So I'm picturing somebody, at a contest or in a contest, and they won first prize, and they're thanking somebody for doing something for them. Well, what do people do for them? They praise them. They cheer them on. If you're at a track meet and you're running, you've got parents or grandma or friends there saying, "Yeah, go, go, go." That means they're cheering you on, or encouraging you on. So even if you weren't sure how to read that word, or you didn't know what that word means, you could get the idea based upon the other clues and the other sentences around it. You have to picture yourself or think about that situation, similar to what you've been in. Okay, this is all stuff that you don't have to pay any attention to. This is stuff that when we get these references off of a website, they come with it. So, all right, now I am going to see if it will let me paste over. It's not. So we're going to stop this recording, and I want you to go to the other recording, which is called The Plague. I'm going to show you how to use these context clues in the story called The Plague. It is a higher level book. It is okay if you don't read at this level, because I'm going to be reading it to you and showing you how to use some of these context clues in this book. I chose a higher level book for that reason. But also I'm going to be doing some discussion. The book is called The Plague, and it's very much about what we're going through right now. So I thought you might enjoy. You probably heard about the news channels talking about the plague, the bubonic plague. If you don't know what that is, you've probably heard it referred to in some of the media if you've been watching TV and things. And this was a pandemic that occurred in Europe many hundreds of years ago. And you're going to see some similarities. So I'm going to ask you some comprehension questions and ask you to do some thinking during all of this as well. So go ahead and go to the other, in the other video, which is posted here on this YouTube channel, go ahead and go to the one called The Plague that is done by me.